Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you've ever felt completely, absolutely overwhelmed by personal budgeting, trust me, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're going to demystify this whole financial landscape we're living in, and we're using real, hard data and tracking tools from NerdWallet to do it. We're going to break down exactly how a complete novice, literally anyone, can start saving money and tracking expenses right away to build a rock-solid foundation for the future.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Could you cover a sudden emergency expense today? I mean, think about it. A pop's tire on the highway, a surprise medical bill, maybe a leaky roof? It's a pretty heavy question, right? And if it just gave you a slight knot in your stomach, you are absolutely not alone. There's this palpable, very real financial anxiety that so many people are feeling right now. When you're just starting out with managing your money, the fear of the unknown is usually the biggest hurdle. But the very first step to overcoming that fear is facing the reality of our financial habits head-on.
I mean, just take a look at this stark headline directly from our source materials news section. Millions can't cover an emergency expense. Here's how to handle one. This really establishes the immediate stakes of our explainer today. We aren't just talking about, moving numbers around on a spreadsheet for fun. We are talking about your peace of mind. Not having a buffer for emergencies, it's incredibly stressful. But the good news we found in this material is that this is absolutely a fixable problem. The solution starts with tracking your expenses so you can actually find the extra cash to build that emergency safety net.
Which brings us to a fascinating and honestly kind of crazy contradiction. Ask yourself this rhetorical question, which is pulled from another recent article title, Americans Expect a Recession. Are they spending like it? This perfectly hits the nail on the head regarding the massive disconnect between our economic fears and our daily financial tracking. We worry about the macroeconomy, right? But on a micro level, so many of us aren't actually tracking where our daily dollars are going. We might expect an economic downturn, but without a budget, we just keep swiping our cards as if everything is perfectly fine. Bridging that gap between what we fear and how we actually spend, that is the very essence of personal budgeting.
Moving on to Section 1, the borrowing landscape versus the saving opportunity. Let's move on and see how this builds, kind of transitioning from the psychology of economic anxiety into the hard, structural data shaping our financial reality today. To understand how to budget, you really have to understand the environment you're budgeting in. So let's look at the borrowing side first. We're comparing the best mortgage rates found on NerdWallet against national averages. For a 30-year fixed mortgage, the national average sits at a hefty 7.30%, though you can find rates around 6.29%. Even for a 15-year fixed, the average is 6.39%. So why does this actually matter for a budgeting novice? Well, because it illustrates that borrowing money right now is really expensive. Whether it's a house, a car, or especially a credit card balance, carrying debt costs you a premium in today's market. That makes the case for budgeting and living within your means more critical than it's ever been.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the flip side of that coin. Look at this massive contrast. While borrowing is super expensive right now, saving is highly rewarded, provided you put your money in the right place. The average traditional savings account, it yields a measly 0.38%. But a high-yield savings account, or HYSA, can offer upwards of 4.10%. I mean, that is a staggering difference. For a beginner, this is literally the ultimate budgeting motivation. Every single dollar you track and save isn't just sitting there collecting dust. If placed correctly, it's actively working for you and compounding at a really significant rate.
I really want to hammer this specific figure home, 3.9%. According to the source material, users can access promotional accounts offering a 3.9% annual percentage yield on their cash. When you're a beginner, building up that crucial emergency fund we talked about earlier, the yield on your cash absolutely matters. It turns your disciplined expense tracking into tangible, growing rewards. So it's not just about spending less, it's about optimizing what you actually keep.
Let's get into the specific mechanics of this option, which is a cash account offered through Atomic Brokerage. You can earn that boosted 3.9% APY for 6 months on balances up to $250,000. And get this, you'll only need a single dollar deposit to start. But here's the absolutely most important part for someone just learning to manage money. You can withdraw whenever you need to, completely without penalties. When you're building an emergency fund, you need liquidity. You have to know that if the tire pops, you can access your money instantly without being punished. This incredible flexibility is what makes it a perfect landing pad for your newly budgeted savings.
All right, let's jump to Section 2, building your financial tracking toolkit. Now that we understand the landscape, expensive to borrow, very rewarding to save, let's pivot into building your actual toolkit. How does a complete novice practically start managing their money, tracking their expenses, and taking advantage of those great savings rates? To get started, the source provides a super clear, actionable checklist of calculators. If you're totally new to this, start with the budget calculator to just map out your incoming and outgoing cash. Then jump to the emergency fund calculator to figure out exactly how much you need to save for that peace of mind. You can use the net worth calculator to see your big picture baseline, and finally play around with the compound interest calculator to see how fast your money will grow in those high yield accounts we just discussed. Each tool is basically a stepping stone that takes the guesswork totally out of personal finance.
So, the crucial point here is you don't have to figure this all out alone. Millions of people already have. Over 10 million financial decisions have been made using these very resources. When you're just starting out, the sheer volume of financial advice out there can feel incredibly isolating and overwhelming, right? Like trying to drink from a fire hose. But seeing a figure like 10 million reminds you that this is a proven, reliable path. People just like you are utilizing these exact tools to budget, track their expenses, and finally gain comfortable control over their economic lives. To bring all these tools together, the platform actually offers an all-in-one financial tracking app, and the social proof here is just immense. We're talking about tracking, saving, and investing, all centralized in one place. It boasts a 4.8 average star rating, over 100,000 five-star ratings, and 7 million total downloads. For a novice, simplicity is everything. You definitely don't want to be logging into 6 different bank accounts and 3 different credit cards just to figure out your budget for the month. An app that aggregates all that data for you makes tracking your daily expenses virtually effortless.
And this brilliantly illustrates what we're talking about. This user review from March 2025 says, NerdWallet is one of the best apps that actually help with keeping track of finances. It proves that tracking expenses absolutely does not have to be an overwhelming chore. When you have a dedicated tool doing the heavy lifting of categorizing your spending for you, you can spend your mental energy making smart decisions about your budget, rather than, just trying to do the math.
Here's another fantastic 5-star review, this one from December 2024. This is the best app overall. I love how I can manage my personal finances, all my accounts, in just one app. This directly reinforces the value of centralized budgeting. If you want to stop the disconnect between fearing an economic downturn and spending blindly, you need to see all your accounts in one place. You have to see the reality of your cash flow in real time. That visibility, that is the real secret to saving money.
We've covered a ton of ground today, from the really high costs of borrowing right now to the amazing yields on savings and exactly how to easily track it all. So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question. Are you letting the nerds do the work for you? You don't have to be a Wall Street financial expert to build an emergency fund or track your daily expenses. The tools are out there, just waiting to be used. I really hope this explainer empowered you to grab those tools, map out your budget, and start optimizing your savings today. Keep learning, keep tracking, and I'll see you next time.